Welcome to the Scottsdale Vibes Podcast. I'm Alicia Haygood. This week, I'm really excited as we're going to dive into culture, history, and a really exciting moment for us all here in Scottsdale. This week, we have CEO and Executive Director of the Western Spirit Museum of Scottsdale, known as Todd Bankofier, who's going to be speaking of our Western Spirit expansion, the 55,000 square foot of new art, jewelry, and exhibit to really expand the West. And speaking of the West, let's check in with our favorite State Farm agent, Jeremy Mueller, who was born and raised here in Scottsdale and knows a little bit about it. That's exactly why what you get with Jeremy Mueller Insurance is the value of community. Giving back to the community is a top priority for Jeremy and his team. He's been here for over 25 years helping neighbors just like you with home, auto, life, and business coverage. He knows our city, our lifestyle, and our needs. Plus, with 3 local offices, help is always close by. Give him a call at 480-515-5223 or visit jeremymueller.com because here we look out for one another. If you have spent any time here in Old Town, you know that the Western Spirit Scottsdale's Museum of the West is one of the most unique places that truly captures the heart of who we are. It tells the story of the American West in a way that feels both rooted in history and incredibly relevant today. And recently, they stepped into a whole new era with a $12 million expansion that is elevating the entire experience. The Louis the Sands the Fourth Center adds significant space, new exhibits, and deeper, more immersive ways to connect with Western and Indigenous art while also storytelling. It's not just a milestone for the museum with this expansion, but it really shows Scottsdale as a whole as it reflects the growth of our city as we celebrate 75 years this year and still honoring the history and culture that really define us. So Todd, I'm excited to have you here today. Really, I've been in the Western Spirit Museum a few times. The first time I went was by myself. I was brand new here. Didn't know anybody or anything, and my kids were in school, so I said, why not? And now it's become a regular thing for me. I've taken my parents there and family. Talk about what the museum as a whole, living up to this name of the Western Spirit really does for Scottsdale first.
Well, for Scottsdale, I think it goes without saying that as the most Western town, to have the Smithsonian affiliate Western Museum in the city of Scottsdale speaks volumes to what this is, to the impact that it can have. You know, Scottsdale as a city tells the story of the American West in a lot of ways. Places like Westworld and all the equine events that we do here, and the number of people that here that own horses and live the ranching life. And Western has always been a part of the Scottsdale slogan and also part of its culture. And to be able to have this high scale of a Western museum in Scottsdale is just the crowning of the jewel. And I think we all should appreciate that. And there was just a lot of great people and visionaries that really saw that vision and said this museum needs to be in Scottsdale.
Well, let's talk about this the museum is gorgeous.
Yes.
It has one-of-a-kind stuff that goes through. You have the one-of-a-kind art exhibits and artists come through. The history, the art, the artifacts that you have is one of a kind. It's beautiful. Now we have a 55,000 square foot expansion. Excuse me. The theme is unmistakably West. So talk about what this means to here in Scottsdale, unmistakably West.
It's come to the point where we've, a little bit of a brand campaign that we feel very strongly about now that we've been able to bring these new exhibits, these 4 new exhibits through this new expansion to our museum. You know, we've been voted the #1 Western museum in the United States by True West magazine about 4 times in the last 6 years.
Wow.
And we're only 11 years old. Most of the Western museums in this country are at least 30 or more. So we're like the baby child. But we elevated our exhibits really emphatically about being able to tell the story of how the West came to be. And it is called the West Museum of the West, not the Museum of the Old West. So we don't just tell the stories of the Old West, but we're very emphatic about having the type of exhibits that can tell the story. How did we become this? How did this place become where we live?
Yeah. How did it?
Well, come to the Western Spirit Museum, Scottsdale's Museum of the West, and you'll find out.
We talk about this. Let's see. We have the 4 new exhibits in the expansion. Can you walk us through some of the highlights of these new exhibits? Because we talk about the Western art, the American Indian art. We have bronze, jewelry, ceramics. All of this is the history of the West. And I love how you said it's not just the old West, it is the West. Because we're still evolving, we're still changing, and we're still expanding here in the West.
We'll always be telling the stories of the current West. In part of our exhibits. That's just who we are. We're the Museum of the West. We're not, like I said, the Museum of the Old West. But it's really important that we do tell those stories of the Old West. We have over 5,000 students that come through our museum each year, and we connect it with their history classes where they're talking about how the migration of the people came west, and the kids come to see it visually and find out a lot more about why the history book says, Lewis and Clark took 2 years to come across the now what is 19 Western states to get to the Pacific Ocean. Why, right? We tell the stories of why and how these 19 states came together over the time. But it had to do with a lot of cultures that had to come together. As we know, the Anglos and the American Indian culture did not come together well. And we tell the truth about those stories, the absolute truth. We represent the Native American, I think, in a very, very profound way, in a proper way, that they were here first, that there was a needing for understanding from between people that were migrating west and the Indian culture.
How do you work
and it took a long time.
How do you work with our local tribes here in doing that?
Wonderfully. We have great relationships.
I would assume so, yeah.
I think, present the Native American story at our museum in a very, very profound and decent way. And I think the majority of the 22 tribes here in the state of Arizona would appreciate. And they haven't all been here to the museum yet, but a good number of them have. And have told me that they really appreciate how we've told the truth, told the stories properly, and represent them. And we're proud of that.
Some of the new exhibits in the new expansion, I want to talk about like bronze and jewelry. Here we talk about our turquoise. We're really known for it in the West. How does that really play a huge part in the culture of America and the West?
Yeah, well, speaking of presenting the stories of the Native American tribes and indigenous people, we now, as part of these 4 new exhibits, one of them is called Fire of Ages. It is the representation of ceramics, pottery, from the Native American Hopi tribe back almost 1,200 years.
Wow.
We've got pots in our museum and they're that old, and we represent them, as well as Native American jewelry, one of the largest Native American jewelry exhibits in the United States, showcasing some of the early Native American jewelry and present-day Native American jewelry. And we've done it through showing how the ores and the materials is what I'm trying to say. The materials that made that jewelry came about, and where, and then
It really is a storytelling aspect.
Silver mining, gold mining.
I mean, that was us, right?
All so it's all done in the museum to properly understand that this jewelry just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It has to happen through going into mines and finding the
And it's
proper
gorgeous.
material.
It really is one of a kind.
Yeah.
Let's talk about something else. They have the Eddie Basha collection of the working, I was told, patnas,
Yeah,
Did I say
partners with a D. That's the way the Western people say it.
What makes this collection, so special and unique as
Well,
well?
Eddie Basha, as we all know, the Basha store is here across the state of Arizona, and the only store that's allowed on reservations in our state is the Basha store.
I didn't know that.
They created a partnership, partnership. He was big. He was just all about partnerships. He partnered with the Native American tribes. He partnered with his artists. But most importantly is Eddie wanted this art to be shared in Arizona, and he was adamant. And so he, before he passed away, told his family they'd like to keep this collection in Arizona, when there were people from all over the world that were trying to buy it and capture it as much as possible. But it stayed here, split it up between our museum and the Heard Museum downtown. And now we have the entire upper floor of this new expansion space is all Howdy
crazy.
Partners Eddie Basha collection. And it represents almost everything that he had, pieces of it. And we don't have it all on display, but we'll continue to evolve it over time, and people will see the different artifacts and paintings and bronzes that he collected. And he did it in such a wonderful way that he built such beautiful relationships with the artists, and it showcases that in the exhibit, the letters that they sent back and forth to each other. And the artists usually painted theirs. They painted their letters that he sent to Eddie, and they're classic. They're framed and on the walls, and it tells a great story. But he wanted to share his art with everybody, and now it's in a museum setting that we think is just really something that he's looking down on and saying, good job, guys.
How does that incorporate into the storytelling aspect that you've been talking about from, Westernization as a whole to now, and then we're really moving into the future?
Yeah, well, it tells his collection is elongated from early Native American art to present day Western cowboys out on the ranch. So he shows it represents the stories of all that whole time frame, and the genesis of it is, and his passion about it was that he wanted to make sure that he built partnerships with the cowboy artists of America, which is what the majority of the artists are that are part of his collection. Great artists, wonderful relationships that he had with them, and people understanding how passionate he was about making sure that this got into a couple great museums here in Arizona to stay here forever.
You mentioned kind of at the beginning of how it's a Smithsonian affiliate. Talk about how the Smithsonian exhibit and the Museum Corporation works with you guys, and how you work with.
Yeah, the Smithsonian affiliation is not something that you just get automatically, and it took us, we did it within the first year of opening our museum.
Wow, really?
The earliest one of any museum in the country.
I would agree.
And have been continuing to maintain that status as a standard for our museum for the last 11 years. It is something that is really, really important to us. There are other Smithsonian affiliates in the state of Arizona as well, and we're proud of them as well. But you need to meet the standards. And it's a standard that we believe in through the curation of our exhibits and the stories we tell and the way we maintain our museum as a whole is a big part of the standard that the Smithsonian makes us stand up to, and they come and look at us all the time. So you better be on your best behavior.
You get a behind the scenes look at all this. You're putting it together. I want to ask you like a personal kind of feeling when you're standing in there and no one else is there. What do you feel when you're around all these artifacts and the history of the West? When you're literally standing in the middle of history at that point.
Yeah. Well, a couple things, but first, what really attracted me to the museum when it first opened up was my childhood. I was born and raised on a cattle ranch, and didn't know anything else but the Western lifestyle. And there was an exhibit of the 100 ranches of Arizona, pictures of the 100 ranches as an exhibit. Mm-hmm. Probably about 60 beautiful pictures of the ranches in Arizona. And I walked around in there and I said, oh my God, I teared up. I have to be honest.
Yeah.
I saw my whole entire childhood in that room, in that exhibit. And it connected me with that museum like I think it connects with people that come to see the museum. They didn't have to grow up on a cattle ranch. They could have been part of some sort of Western, or gone on an afternoon ride on a horse, and they would have picked up on the connection that has with them. But also, just being able to tell the stories for the Native American tribes people that come to our museum, I think we get a lot of deep connection when they see the representation of our tribes here in Arizona, as well as across the entire West. I think it's the connection that people make when they come to the museum. It's different for everybody.
Agreed. I think what we forget too is we forget to be tourists in our own backyard sometimes, because we feel like we grew up here, we know everything, we've seen it grow, and then you go and you learn things, right? How do we attract our own to go there? Because it is a storytelling. It is. We are turning into a melting pot really here in Scottsdale, at some point too. to attract our local audience here to get in there too and feel everything.
And we tell the story of the North American West, because when people were coming west, there were no lines of states or countries.
Oh, that's fair, yeah.
So we take North America and we basically draw a line down the western part of it, and we tell the stories of all that. So there are stories about Mexico and Canada as well. We make sure that we include that because that's how the North American West was.
Interesting. I didn't think about
when
that.
it started.
Yeah.
We had an exhibit about Western ranches down in Mexico, and the cowboy in Mexico is called a vaquero, and we had this vaquero exhibit, and all the Spanish-speaking people in our community came in, and they'd stand in front of these and go, "Oh my gosh, that's my great uncle! That's my great uncle standing in his house in Mexico." They all connected with it, and it just rose to the occasion of why we have this museum. People can connect to something that's going on in their lives or a part of their lives. And they should know where they live.
Where do you see the West expanding into the future?
Where?
And how? Like, what do you think we'll still keep the big, cattle ranches and keep to our heart and soul of what the West is?
Well, specific to Arizona, I think there will always be a ranching aspect to it, without question. It's how it started and it's how it's continued on. But obviously, with technology, a lot of things change. And ranching life is a lot different today than it is today. I have a lot of cousins that are still on ranches in the western United States, and it's different, definitely different. But that doesn't mean that they don't remember how it was.
Right.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's worse. It's different. Regulation of lands and all that, those things change how a rancher reacts.
Ranches.
And, they have to make money to live. So a lot of them are doing different things on those ranches, growing crops, selling them, doing the things that farmers do as well. And it's not just a cool, Yellowstone type thing. It's different.
Yeah.
Tell
me how we can, for people that have been to the museum and maybe not seen the expansion because it's very new, so go see it. You have rotating exhibits, so it's not like if you go once, don't go back. Like there's stuff always changing. You have movie nights coming up, as well. So talk about some things that are coming up that we can look forward to.
Let me tell you a little bit about a couple things. The exhibits themselves, obviously we change. We have a number of permanent exhibits that still aren't permanent. We evolved. we bring in different items and revolve those inside the permanent exhibits, as well as change our temporary exhibits. We just had Kurt Walters had a great exhibit of paintings of the Grand Canyon. That was up for 4 months. We will do these occasional changes in those. But coming up now is, as I would like to tell everybody, the Still in the Saddle exhibit is for 1 year, so it'll be up through the end of this year. It's a cinematic journey of Western movies.
I'm going to right at my dad's alley.
It came out over the last 50 years. If you want to go down memory lane about the Western movies that you saw at the drive-in back in the day or wherever, this is the place to come. Plus, you get to see the outfits that the actors wore, like John Wayne and Robert Redford, are in our museum now. So it's great for people to see.
That's cool.
The exhibits I've talked to you about, then they're in the expansion. And then we have Sunday cinemas, Western movies. Every Sunday at 2 p.m., there's a new Western. And we've been doing this for almost a year. And coming up in the next, this April 26th, The Life and Times of Judge Roy Bean.
Nice.
That's a old Western. And then on Saturday, May 2nd, we have John Wayne's son, Patrick Wayne, who was in 10 of John Wayne's movies, coming to the museum.
He's coming to,
Yeah, he's coming to the museum to speak.
I love that. Very cool.
Saturday, May 2nd at 3 p.m., Patrick Wayne and Dr. Andrew Nelson, our curator, who's going to interview him over about 50 minutes. And people are invited to come to see him.
All right.
And then, of course, the movies go every Sunday. So Sundays at 2.
All right, we'll have to
You're looking for something to do. When it gets really hot outside, it's nothing better than a dark, cool theater.
I love that.
With a beautiful big
Sunday
screen.
at 2 if you're looking something to do.
Yeah.
That should be your tagline right there to get in. Yeah. I love it.
Well, it's working because we tell that people, and they're like, Oh,
I
yeah.
remember that.
2 o'clock, it's hotter, and you know
Yeah.
what? And let's go to the movie.
I love it.
Yeah.
Before we leave, Todd, I want to know, what's your favorite Scottsdale vibe?
Wow. I just, I have lived here for 35 years, and I just will tell you that every time I go somewhere else, I think about how special that we have it in Scottsdale.
Yeah.
Just the beauty of how we've designed and zoned our community, and that we don't have billboards everywhere.
Yeah.
And that we have people that have respect for their front yards and the water that we use in this valley. But just the ability to drive down the street in a very comfortable way
Just
and not be up against traffic and craziness that some of the other cities, no offense to all of them. But when I go to the other cities, it reminds me quickly of how great we've designed our city. And you put that beautiful Indian pen green belt in, and some of the great iconic places to go to here, like Western Spirit.
Like the Western Spirit Museum, exactly. I love
I mean, just think how lucky we are.
We are very lucky. I love that
It's the vibe.
It is the vibe. It has its own unique vibe.
It does.
That's what we love about it. Well, thank you for telling us all about it. Go check it out. There's exhibits, as you heard Todd say, that are ever changing. I'm excited to go see this new $55,000 foot expansion. Much more than that.
Much more than
$55,000. You got a great deal if that was the case.
That would have been perfect.
I know, right? And then go check out all the events they're doing as well. Like he said, it's about to get really hot out there, so go check a movie on Sundays at 2, and we'll have all of this in the description of the episode. But as someone who has lived here for many years, and if you're looking for a real estate expansion, then Shawn Shackelton is your Scottsdale real estate agent. For over 25 years, our sponsor, Scottsdale Realtor Shawn Shackelton, has guided buyers and sellers with straight talk, smart strategy, and data that keeps you ahead of the market. If you want a calm pro who won't let you settle for less, reach out to Shawn at 480-734-7277 or visit shackletongroup.com and make your next move a winning one. If you want to know more about what's going on in Scottsdale, don't forget to check out our social media pages on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube for the video episode if you are listening to this. We are always out and about around Scottsdale. I hope you have a wonderful week, Scottsdale. Keep vibing, and I'll see you around town.